in my particular agency, let's give you a little background there. So I work with external partners, numerous agencies, and freelancers, and and then direct clients. And so I have emails coming from a lot of different areas and a lot of different places. So these are emails, right? I have clients that love to use email. Yes, that it's sometimes if you want to do business with somebody, you have to do business the way they do it. I always joke, like in the beginning, I thought I could change people's minds and get them to do things my way, but it just that just doesn't work. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable From the Trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Builders. Today, you are joined by me. I am the guest and the host today, and it's a solo episode. My name is Matt Levenhagen. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to talk about email, ticket centers, different solutions around that. And we're going to speak to my journey around that as an agency. It's been a wild one. And I have a pretty unique situation. I don't know if it's unique, but it's a specific situation dealing with other agencies and clients and stuff. And I'm going to kind of outline the challenges I've had around that and the solutions I've found. What you will know up front is probably front. Because you read the title of this video. So let's dive right into that. Basically, for the last 5-6 years, almost 6 years, I've been in business. Whoa. Last 5-6 years, I have really evolved. In the beginning, it was just me, and I would have clients, and I did right off the bat have kind of an agency partner where I did work for them. I think he did some work for me too. Not sure, but it's been a long ride. But from those beginning days, in the beginning, obviously you don't have as much volume. You don't have as much flying back and forth, and you can just manage things. And I don't even know back then. I think we probably just used email. Actually, his client that I was helping with was in Asana. We did stuff in there. It was kind of that and email. Over time, I eventually pretty quickly got Slack. So Slack became a channel where I'd add people and we'd communicate. And to this day, so we still use Slack, and Slack's a big part of how we communicate internally. But this conversation is more about how I externally communicate, which is actually Slack too. But this is a conversation about email specifically. So in the beginning, I actually ended up getting Zendesk, but there's that first year, probably, 6 months into my agency, there's a reason for that. So I had worked for a company called Rapid Crush. I had helped them build a WordPress marketplace called Hexeter. That's a fun story. But basically we sold WordPress themes. We built and sold custom, not custom, but they were custom. We designed and built them custom, but we sold them to the masses, right? Built a marketplace to sell those. And I actually acquired that business in 2019. And, but basically Rapid Crush uses Zendesk. And the situation was that they had sold these themes to a lot of their own customers, or they have their own customers, right? They had offered it as bonuses to different offers, and just, thousands of people had gotten these themes. When I had left Rapid Crush, they'd already sold probably 10,000 plus of these themes. I don't even know all the numbers. So there was a lot of people out there using them, a lot of offers that had gotten them. Some of those were like lifetime offers and stuff. So we wanted to be able to support those, even though that was part of the deal. Like, if I'm going to acquire this, I'm still going to support all those past customers. But how do we do that? And to do that, we use Zendesk. in Zendesk, there's a function where two different Zendesk accounts can share tickets, sync tickets back and forth. So when they would get one of their customers, it was a Hexter WordPress related request, they would push whatever button they pushed on their end, and it would show up in my Zendesk, and then I would communicate back and forth with them and with that customer. So in the first few years, that was actually really a big reason we had it. But over time, we eventually phased out Hexter a couple years ago for reasons, and then and over time, people aren't going to use the same theme forever. Typically, they're either going to go out of business or they are going to move on to the next theme, maybe a better theme, maybe a block theme. Who knows? Over time. So over time, those they started to trickle, and to this day, now I think the last one I might have gotten one this last year, and which is all fine and good. But we continue to use Zendesk as a way to still, everything was hooked up. Like our website was still hooked up. So we used it not only for that, but also for support. We already have it. Might as well, right? So it works pretty well for support. So people can submit a ticket from any of our forms on our websites, and it would open a ticket there. And that worked pretty good. It worked like any ticket center should. Now, Zendesk is very robust. It's a very robust, full-featured ticket center. There's a lot of things to configure in there and understand. And so over time, though, I figured out how we were using it, and it was pretty good. And I had a couple of our employees in there, admins to help out, and it worked good. I also, as we moved over to ClickUp a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, there was an integration with ClickUp. And so what we would do is when we had a project or task going, we would link that task to a ticket. Even if they would submit the ticket to do the task, or vice versa, if we would get a task in other ways, we would create a ticket and link them, and that's how we'd communicate, or whole projects. And that worked pretty good. So I like Zendesk, but there's another thing in my particular agency. Let's give you a little background there. So I work with external partners, numerous agencies, and freelancers, and then direct clients. And so I have emails coming from a lot of different areas and a lot of different places. So these are emails, right? I have clients that love to use email. It's sometimes if you want to do business with somebody, you have to do business the way they do it. I always joke, like in the beginning, I thought I could change people's minds and get them to do things my way, but it just that just doesn't work. So that's all fine and good, but then I also do white label and have multiple inboxes. So I have a Matt at thisagency.com, Matt at thatagency.com. I have several of those, 3, 4 that I do that way. And then another one's kind of just a generic one. So I got a bunch of those. So that's another thing I have to do. I have to actually go to a whole nother inbox and track that inbox. So I'm tracking Zendesk. I'm tracking multiple emails. I got direct clients coming to my email. I have, and there's different ways to manage that. You can log into multiple emails by using we use Gmail. So that's another thing you should know. We use Google Workspace, all their tools, Drive, and all their tools, and even their AI now, and email. Gmail. So, but you can log into multiple and bot back and forth to different ones. And, but you could also use one of the things that I use for specific agencies is Google Chrome profiles. So you can create a whole new profile in Google Chrome dedicated to a specific Gmail. and systems. So I like to do that. But there's one agency in particular I do this, like it's almost necessary because I work in teamwork there. So teamwork, project management system, and their Gmail and their stuff. So I just, to keep that separate, I keep it in a separate profile. That's a good way for separation and stuff. But there's an issue that, and this is really important when tracking tasks and projects. There's an issue where if I want to link to something, it's harder. Gmail doesn't have a really good way to link to anything specific. And also, you can't link to a Gmail you're not logged into. So if I have one of those other Gmail accounts from an agency and I create a link and I'm logged into mine, I'm not getting there. So that's trouble. And it's email's email, right? Gmail is, as long as it's been around, it's pretty basic at its core. So that's the environment I'm in, though, right? And as time went on, this obviously scaled up. In the beginning, like I said, it was a little simpler, but as you grow and you're dealing with more outside clients or partners or whatever, that gets a little messy and a little hard to keep track of. And I'd find ways to do it. There's ways to forward and, you can create aliases and do all kinds of crazy fun stuff. But it's not always perfect. So you can create notifications, you can, organize things into, labels and all that stuff. But so that's been kind of the history, right? And basically, it evolved. As things grew, I'm dealing with a lot of different things. So, but one of the things that recently, let's move forward here to this recent months. One of the things that I really needed to happen is that I need to be able to share one of my inboxes. And one of the things, even any CEO out there, any person owner or whatever that gets really busy, at some point you might want to get help with your email. Have a VA or whoever to help you manage your email. And it's something I've dreamed about for a long time. And I don't. You can kind of share, your logins for Gmail and stuff, but that's not a good way to do it. I think maybe it's even frowned upon, in some way. So I never really did that. I tried to do that with some agencies, like add multiple users, and it just never worked out. So what am I going to do? It's not easy to share an inbox. So I actually explored. I have a client that uses it. I don't know if any of my agency partners do, but also there's other places I've seen it used. Something called Help Scout. So I started there. I thought, well, this might be a good way to share inboxes. Just solving that for that problem. I wasn't even thinking about like consolidating things yet or any of that. I just wanted to be able to share an inbox, and I was starting with my Matt at, because that's the craziest one. And even though I have a support email, a lot of stuff comes into my email, right? And that's what I really wanted to first get a handle of. But when I tried Help Scout, I had issues with it. First of all, it's a little strange how they deal with the sync or not sync. It's actually like they use forwarding, and I was finding that sometimes it's not, if you're going to use it, you can't do both. You can't still go on your Gmail. I think things were like disconnecting, like they would create whole new emails, and there was some weird stuff going on there. But I also, the import feature they have was, I have tens of thousands of emails to import, but they use like a third party. And when you go to that third party, it was like a Google app or something, or Google warning that they hadn't verified their app or something. So it was like this weird security thing, but they kind of played it off. Like, okay. It seems like because I've built Google Apps and I'm pretty sure this is solvable, but whatever. But that seems a little insecure and a weird way to do it. And, but whatever. I tested it out. I tested it out probably for like a week or something like that. I actually tried to use it. But it was also buggy. They had things like, they have this, they could break things into views and stuff based on tags and stuff like that. But my views disappeared when I like upgraded my account from a trial. And so I was talking to customer support about issues with imports and issues with, it wasn't a great experience. And I honestly can't say that it's not a bad solution because, like I said, I have a client that uses it perfectly fine. So, but for my particular situation, it wasn't working great. They said, talking to customer support, it's also not designed for personal emails. It's not really, Matt is not a personal email. Technically, it's a business email, right? But there's a lot of garbage that comes into that one email. And to be able to filter that out and stuff, that was an issue as well. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So I decided to kind of look to see, okay, well, is there another solution out there? That's when I did some Googling and I saw an app I'd seen before. It's been out there because this probably wasn't the first time I've explored ways to do this. And it's called Front. Well, front.com, it's called the Front app. I don't know if you refer to it as a Front app. What do they refer to it as? That's a good question. Let's look it up. But I found this and I dove in, right? And like Help Scout, I decided I'd give it a test and try it for free. You can try it for free. It's interesting. I tried it for free and then I was going to pay for it. And then they gave me like an extra seven days or something for a free trial. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Like I don't even know if I let it out, like expire yet. They're just like, here's another 7 days. Okay. I guess that's kind of an interesting little thing to do. Anyway, so, and it's AI, it's like the AI powered customer service platform. And it actually does a lot of stuff, right? You can actually integrate, your social stuff into this and everything, but I'm just focused on email right now. I may do the other stuff eventually, but I'm also in sharing and all the things I've been talking about. There's some features here that I will get into that I also Help Scout did a little bit and why I also like the idea of it, but this one does everything a little bit better. It just was more seamless. I've never been on with their customer support to fix something. There's no these weird third-party things going on. So I just did it. I created an account and I was able to actually do a proper sync. Now, I've used other platforms that sync email and stuff, even Zendesk. I was using their CRM for about a year. And it did it synced up your email. It didn't do it does an import, but it's a proper sync. You just connect. and you're not using a third party, like I said. So I did that and everything went swimmingly. It was great. I like using that word swimmingly once in a while. And that I ended up connecting my Matt one. And then I'm like, after I had a great experience, I hooked up my support one right away. And it started working great. The import worked great. Things weren't disconnecting. It was staying synced. And then I started enjoying all the other features that these systems provide. So one of the things with Front is the tagging rules. So even I got all this stuff coming in. So one of the things that I think a legacy version of them, I did talk to customer support about this just to get clarification, but they used to be where I think it actually still imported my tags from Gmail, but then it wouldn't, like all the future emails wouldn't automatically tag. So it was kind of useless. So I had to create custom rules in there, but their rules are very robust. It's actually really cool. They got like even tabled rules and the whole thing. But so I could create rules based on your normal stuff, like you would in Gmail, based on the subject line or content or the emails or whatever. And, the contains or starts with and all that good stuff. And I talked to him about actually the performance of that because I knew I was going to have a lot. Because over 6 years, you accumulate a lot of newsletters, or people just add you to their newsletters, and, solutions used for a while and don't use anymore. All those still are coming in, which you could unsubscribe to, but I don't do that. Usually I just label it and take it away. So that was a really good, but also, it was keeping things in sync. It was, so one of the other things that these systems do is it allows you to link not only to a thread. So I don't know that Help Scout it could do this. It wasn't as intuitive. But here you can actually link to an email within a thread. That's really important when you're managing projects and tasks, because here's the thing that clients like to do. They like to just randomly throw you something in the middle of a giant thread of like 50 emails. At least my clients do. And you can either there's different ways you might come back to that. You have to we have kind of an eco-culture, an eco-culture of capturing everything. So when something like that happens, I instantly capture it. I'm going to either create a temporary task or do something to capture that thing. Because when you're dealing with a lot of stuff, you're on to the next thing, it's going to get lost. And that happens even when you're organized. But now I can create a link to that, and then also have a ClickUp integration. It's the same integration they had with Zendesk, where I can link a task in ClickUp to this particular thread. And you can go both ways. You can actually create the task in there in front, and then you can also search and find and link an existing task. So you can go both ways, and then you can click a button and it links out to that task. So it opens a new tab and boom, you're in there. So even if I create it in there, I might just click that link and boom, I'm going in there and doing all the rest of the stuff you can't do in the integration. But now I could link or create a task just for this particular item, or add it as a subtask to an existing item, all that stuff right there, capture it. I can also create a note. So there's a note system where you can leave notes for yourself. You can create a note and tag somebody. You can do all kinds of stuff like within that email. So it's not just the email. It's just like a ticket center, like Zendesk. You can create internal notes within a thread. Same thing here in email. You can create a note, again, tag people or whatever. So it's really, really, really useful. But creating those links and linking tasks is so critical and so useful. And now I don't know how I'd live without it. Now, especially now I've been using Front. Now I've only been using Front for maybe a month, but it's changed my life. So that's great. And their tagging features, you can assign the way the inboxes or the interface is created. You can create different inboxes for different emails and create those rules and automations. So you could have a particular thing. So I have an automation to assign things to me automatically from our client addresses. So those get there, assigned there. So the notes, assignments, email, thread linking, it's a beautiful thing. And of course, it's scalable now, because now I can add team members in there to watch a particular email thread or inbox or thread, right? I can just tag them or assign it to them or whatever. So it's really, really nice. And so all our marketing emails now, all our agency emails, all of that is now in front. And I can see it in one giant view, or I can drill down and it shows when there's a new email in one of those in one of those inboxes. So it's just a beautiful thing. I have cleaned up through rules a lot of stuff like newsletters and things. I just have it deleted. It never ends up there because my thought process is the only things that I want to really be in there are important notifications that we might have to act on, but also, just support related stuff. That's mainly what I'm there to do. So I'm keeping an eye on things and whatever. So one of the key benefits, I think, also is, or one of the key things that I also do in ClickUp is this thing called Zero Inbox. I think they actually Front has a word for that. I think they call it no, they don't call it Front Inbox. They call it, this is Zero Inbox, I think. It's this idea that inbox zero. Okay. It's this thing where, your goal is to get your inbox to zero, and whether that's daily or throughout the day. And that is something I do in ClickUp every single day. The ClickUp basically has an inbox as well. So any notifications, people commented on something and tagged you or whatever, certain notifications that you want to see, you can see every day. And the goal is to get through that so you don't lose anything and you stay on top of stuff. So my goal every single day is my inbox is gone or it's cleared out. Same thing with Front. And they kind of preach this. They have a whole article on it, it looks like. And it's inbox zero. And so my thing now is in Front is to go in and make sure that every single day I try to get all of those emails out and cleared. And now they give you some functionality to be able to do that because you can cheat a little. It's not just completing it, but it's also archiving and snoozing. So they have the snoozing feature, which a lot of inboxes have now. So you can basically, you see something, you can snooze it for later that day or next week or whatever you want to do. And it disappears. It kind of archives it into its own little snooze folder. Other things you can just archive. You can also, when you submit something, you can configure it however you want to do it, but you can actually have like a send and snooze or a send and archive or, and choose that on the fly. There's all kinds of different ways you can manage that, but it helps you because like if you took care of something, you don't need to see in your inbox right now, but you might want to be reminded about it later. So it's a beautiful thing. And Slack kind of has something similar to that too. They call it later, I think. They might have changed that recently. Slack's been adding a lot of features too. I should talk about Slack one day. But it's a beautiful thing. So every single day I'm working in there now, and it took a while. I literally have hundreds of emails or things that I have to set up rules for. But every day I have this like permanent node open where it has delete and archive as headings. And every day I would go through my inbox and copy out emails or subject lines, and I would either put it in delete or archive, and I'd create a list throughout several hours or a day. And then when it got to a certain point, I would go in and add that to the rules. So I do it kind of in bulk as I'm doing things. And I did that. It took a couple weeks of doing that because some things you don't get an email from a certain source every day. So it took a couple weeks, but now my inbox is starting to really look pretty good. How's it looking today? Let's take a quick look. My inbox is looking pretty good, but it's a weekend. So yeah, 13 things waiting for me, but it is a weekend. So it's kind of it's interesting. Yesterday I was like, Fridays I don't get many emails. Kind of crazy, or I delete a lot. So anyway, so this is actually working really, really, really well. And I think it's and actually my business, my agency has actually shrunk a little bit this year. That's a long story, but some of our larger projects got delayed until 2025, and things happen, and I had to downsize a little bit this year. But this is still necessary. We're still busy. We still got our base of clients and agencies we work with. But what this allows me to do as our team grows, which it will in 2025, going forward, it's going to start growing again. But as we grow, this is going to really be a great thing to scale up. I can imagine adding team members over time, managing specific inboxes. I might have a specific admin that's helping me with my personal email. All of that can happen in there, and it can assign things. And so I just see this as a big deal. Like my client, I know at one point they had dozens of people in Help Scout. Rapid Crush had dozens of customer support people in there daily doing stuff, so as you scale up, that's what you need. Today, we're a little bit smaller, but now I'm ready. I'm ready to scale. Come on, people, send the business. Let's talk. But so it's really great for team efficiency, scalability. We're poised now, and I've solved this issue. I've solved my biggest issue that's been a problem for years. It's not a problem that it was like something we couldn't figure out, but it wasn't scalable. It wasn't gonna, like, if we would become a giant agency, that would have been really, really messy eventually. Now everything's centralized. All my inboxes in one place. Ability to get help on things. I can't tell you what a relief that is. And so at the end of the day, I'm like in front. if this was a proper review, I like Front. Check it out. They got a free trial, and they might give you a second free trial. It's worth trying, and that's why I tried Help Scout. You sometimes, those trials are really nice because you can try something. Help Scout actually got kicked into a paid. They didn't act fast enough. but yeah, better client management. Our response times. I feel like I'm staying on top of things quicker. I'm staying on top of things easier. I'm seeing it all in a cleaner interface with all these abilities, these integrations. I don't have just emails stacking up. I had one of my clients that does use email a lot. In the last few months, they've been, their business has been hurting. Their revenue's been down like by 40% plus from a year ago. And so they've hired agencies, ad agencies and SEOs and this and that. And suddenly out of nowhere, we're getting a ton of requests because we manage their website. We build stuff for them and maintain their websites. And so everything ballooned, and suddenly we're getting tagged on all these with these other agencies, and they're doing email marketing now with an agency. And so what I always did was star those in Gmail, so I'd see them right away and then manage them for a while, but my stars started to grow like all these different. So now it's like, again, Front makes that a lot easier to manage. The inbox zero thing's awesome. Having a very specific place to go and not see all the junk and be able to zero inbox it every day, just like ClickUp. There's another way I use it as well. Even I did this with Zendesk when ClickUp has like a forms you can create for clients or partners or whoever, where they can submit tasks, and it automatically creates a task, assigns it to whoever, and adds whatever you want it to do right in ClickUp, right onto whatever board you want, whatever. And you can find too that you can create one for different clients or different agencies to do a little bit different things or drop in different places. And so I use that in conjunction with that. So somebody can submit a task. I just had this, got a task past day, like Friday or whatever. So from one of our agencies, they submitted it. I actually I use Zapier too. I have Zapier automate. So I get an email notification for that as well in this case. So, but I get that it's in my inbox and ClickUp. I see that it happened, and I'm not going to miss it. I don't like missing things. So I see it happened, but now as soon as I see that happen, now I can go in the front, send them an email to confirm that we got it. We're going to work on it. If I have any questions, whatever, it starts that thread, and then I connect the task to that thread. It's a beautiful thing. It's a nice workflow. Man, it is. It doesn't matter, like for me, because like even that agency that uses Teamwork, like I have a field in ClickUp that links that I drop that link in to that either that message or comments or to a task or whatever in Teamwork. So I always have a link back. You know, it's having that. So it doesn't matter where it lives. You always have a link in that task, and it's the same way here, or to a specific email. Like I said. That is super, super important and very useful. Now, if I get really, I've made it such a habit that it's, and that's what a lot of this is habits, right? Going to that inbox 0 every day. That's a habit. You got to build those habits. And it takes a while sometimes to create a habit, but just repetition, reminding yourself, making yourself do it for a while. It'll eventually become a habit, and habits are great because you get uncomfortable when you don't do it then. But having those things, being able to link those email threads, all that stuff, and have these systems integrate together, because we're centralized. We ClickUp as where we manage all our projects and tasks. We even have an agency that uses ClickUp. I can actually go to their ClickUp school, because you can there's a drop down to go to different accounts. So I go to their account, I might get a task there, but I'm grabbing that link and adding it to our task that we're working on stuff, and everything's connected. You be able to jump back and forth. It's very important. But yeah, it's just, what else can I say about it? I think it's going to make things, it already is making things a lot smoother. The client or the partner doesn't see this anything other than an email. It looks like an email. I kind of had Zendesk set up like that. There's a way to set up Zendesk where on their end, it looks more like an email. It's not as much of a ticket, but this is even more so. It is for all intents and purposes on their end, it looks like an email, and which is great. And our end, we got all the tools of a ticket center. It's beautiful. There's been a lot of lessons over the years. There's been instances where I have dropped the ball and like, oh gosh, I got to do better. How can I do better? How can I not miss that later? And like I said, like that one client that all of a sudden we're doing all this stuff. We've always done stuff for them. We're still doing our baseline of stuff, and suddenly we got a lot more stuff. I would get a few emails like, Matt, just making sure you saw this, so it doesn't get lost, because he knew too, like, there's a lot going on here. We want to make sure Matt captured that. That's another thing that's a little side lesson there is, and I would tell my project managers this as well, is even when I'm in like ClickUp or whatever, if it doesn't matter if it's your ticket center, doesn't matter if it's email, always either react to it if there's a way to react to it, or Slack. React to it, like thumbs up if you're into that thing. If you like thumbs up, I'm not going to go there. Whatever you do, high fives, whatever, or is that not high fives, but two hands up, checkbox, whatever you want to use. At least then everybody that sees that now knows somebody saw it, or you saw it, or comment on it. Got it. We'll check it out later, whatever. Email, it's going to have to be that, right? You just reply, got it. I saw this, whatever. But once in a while you get super busy, or I'm on a meeting, I see an email come in, I accidentally look at it, now it's red. And I might even have captured it, but I never replied to it. And it's really difficult though. Like I said, those threads, I literally, if you've been in business, you might have threads that are 50, 100 plus emails within that thread. multiple parties, right? You might have this agency or this employee, and then the owner, and then me, and then maybe I have my project manager in there. Once in a while, they're jumping in, different people jumping in. So they might have dropped this little thing that is actually a task, and then multiple people comment after that. It's so easy to lose those things. But now, Front, I can just grab that link. Good stuff, right? But it is, I think I love talking about this stuff. I think there's another podcast I did this probably a year and a half ago when I moved over to ClickUp. When I talked about that move to ClickUp, it was so profound. And if you want to follow up on that, we're still using ClickUp. I couldn't use anything else at this point. It does everything I needed to do. That's, maybe I'll do an update on that eventually, maybe soon. We'll see. But yeah, ClickUp has been amazing, and it was profound. And I think that Front for me is profound. It's not the cheapest solution out there, but for what we do, it's so important for us to stay on top of things and manage things. Communication, I talk about this in all my stuff, even that guide I have on my mattlevenhagen.com, Outsourcing Fit. I have 4 pillars, and one of those pillars is communication. It's super important because it's so easy. Like I said in the beginning, that's no big deal, but think about just in any business you have. If you want to grow, you want to scale up, and you want to eventually, work with a lot of people and do a lot of things, you have to have a system, or at least know that there's a system out there to help you scale. And actually, you know what? I would say that Front was really easy to set up. Yeah, it took a couple weeks to, set my rules and do all that, but to really the integration and everything was so seamless, so easy. It's pretty intuitive. It's a good interface. I've used a lot of interfaces over the years. It's a pretty good interface, and they have good support. Right now, maybe email's fine for you. Maybe managing a couple inboxes is fine for you. But now when you get there, Front's an option. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Take care. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.